Hey, this is Scott of photographybanzai.com. Today I'm going to talk about editing JPEG files in Adobe Camera RAW. It does not work as well as with RAW files themselves, but it works well enough that I think it's a more streamlined experience instead of just using Photoshop itself to edit your JPEGs, one after another. It works faster for me. It generally provides enough control that I need to edit my photos in JPEG. I'm just using this right now. It does not shoot RAW, so I have to use what I've got. Here I have Adobe Bridge CS5. You can easily edit your JPEGs, like I said, in RAW, in Adobe Camera RAW. In the edit menu here, we have Camera RAW preferences. You don't really need to look at this because it should be defaulted properly, but at the bottom here it says JPEG and TIFF handling. For JPEG, you may want to make sure it doesn't have disabled JPEG support, and just have it on this automatically open JPEGs with settings. Pretty simple. You can't double click on these in the file list because that'll just open up Photoshop. You have to right click and then open in Camera RAW. Pretty simple. And then you've got your full interface as normal. This is Camera RAW 6.7, so it's the most recent version for CS5. All of the settings here generally work the same, but they're not as featured. For example, white balance with RAW has various different custom settings, and it's not the case with JPEGs. These sliders generally work well, but they are not as powerful as they would be with a actual RAW file. So exposure, not bad. Fill light is not as powerful, I've noticed. And of course, recovery is going to be one that's limited compared to RAW files. But generally, they work pretty much the same. You just don't see as much capability out of them. And all of the other tabs here work well, or work generally the same as well. You can do your black and whites. You can also add some vignetting or whatever. That works pretty much the same. It does have lens corrections, of course, so that's a benefit. But so like I said, it works quite well. And what you can also do is select multiple files by holding the Shift key down or using the Control key to select them, and then just do the right click again, open in Camera RAW. Works just as it would with actual RAW files. Like I said, I think this interface is more streamlined for photo editing than just Photoshop itself, and that's why I prefer it to edit my JPEGs most of the time. What you can also do is go into the Tools menu, and it has Photoshop option. You can do your batch processing on these JPEGs with all of your Camera RAW settings. So this is a big one for me. I can do my batch process. It jumps right into Photoshop, and I just select one of my processes, and then it does that whole folder from Bridge. It works easily. What you definitely need to do in this situation, by default these two options, suppress file open options dialog and suppress color profile warnings dialog, or whatever, you need to check those, otherwise you will get something to pop up and prevent you from getting that batch process going. So just make sure those two options are checked, unless you don't want them checked for whatever reason you want to monitor it. But I have those checked. So basically it just pipes in stuff from Bridge, into whatever action you want to use, you know, like you're resizing a file and then resaving it as a JPEG of a lower quality or something. But that works quite well. Or you could also log errors instead of stop on errors. That would help as well. But pretty simple. You cancel out of that and then go back to here. That's about it. So if you want to edit your JPEGs with more functionality geared towards actual photos, I think that's a good option with Photoshop, Adobe Bridge, and then editing in actual Camera RAW instead of Photoshop itself. Thanks.